Is it visible now?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, we can
Cool.
see.
Okay, cool.
Yes, it's visible.
Okay. So basically, today I am going to cover some fundamental concepts of AWS, not programmatic aspect or very deep into technical side, but rather we will try to keep this as a discussion oriented session. And if you want to kickstart your journey in the AWS or cloud computing domain, then hope this session will help you. Okay, based on that, so let's start our discussion. You can raise your question if you have any doubt in the middle. Okay, you can put in the chat or raise hand anywhere. Okay, so here, coming to the agenda section, first of all, we will try to cover that why we need cloud computing. Okay, what is the drawbacks of our on-prem traditional systems? What disadvantage lead to this cloud computing? That on that we will try to discuss some concepts, and then obviously the value, the flexibility it provides to the organization. Nowadays, you might be hearing all the companies are moving to cloud domain. So why this much spike in cloud domain interest came? So on that I will try to cover. And then obviously AWS global infrastructure. So basically it follows a particular pattern, and you have to very carefully choose the location in which you are taking a particular service. So there are some certain points which you have to consider. AWS is actually global, it is worldwide available, as you know, but there are some specific centers which where some services are available. So based on which requirements you should go with which center, which region, on that I will be discussing something. And then obviously mostly AWS services, if you consider, we can classify in many ways, but majorly compute services there, storage services there, database services are there. If you have if you are coming from computer science or a computer application kind of background in your bachelor's degree, then you might have studied the database concepts like Oracle, MySQL, all these kind of relational database system, or similarly there are NoSQL systems as well. Then networking is one of the most important aspect in any organization. Okay, because that is closely connected with security. You should be setting up any architecture in network such that it should not be accessible outside the world easily. Otherwise hackers can take your important data, okay, and sell it to competitor, and then the competitor will use that data to grow their market. So networking and security aspect is also very important. How it is managed in cloud, on that also we'll be discussing something. And then obviously how you can make your career in AWS, what are the important tools and technologies you should learn to become an AWS developer. So these are quite our agenda of this particular discussion. Okay, so is it okay till now? Shall I move ahead?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. So you can pause me anytime, team. Let's keep it more like discussion oriented session. So anyone have any experience in cloud computing domain earlier? Any thoughts, anything you want to share? Just I will take 1 minute if you want to discuss something before jumping to actual thing. If you have any prior experience. Anyone? Here you can tell anything, not at all an issue. No one will judge someone, okay? You can just free to speak it up. If you don't know anything, then also if you heard something, then also you can explain if you have any, if you want to share something.
I think most of the people have only theoretical concepts. They
Oh,
have just learned, okay, what is cloud? At least no one will say that I'm not aware of the cloud. Cloud technology is quite famous. We have heard about it, but how actually it is used in the industry, even I am also not very sure. We have used AWS Satadru so far, but what are the possibilities or extensions that we can implement? I also need to see.
okay, okay, sure. So we'll be going to that obviously just after some time. So just let us try to understand a little bit about cloud computing, why we are switching to cloud computing from on-premise. Okay, so just think about you are running a company, you are the CEO, okay, you started a startup, okay. So suppose your system is in traditional data centers, okay. So what happens, suppose the company name, I am just considering, let's the data confess, but you can take any company, suppose you are the owner, and then suppose you want to start your center from India, okay. Then to start any company, at least the foundations, if you consider, then these are the things required. One can be, if you have created some web app, that should be hosted, okay, and so that it can be accessible from internet. If you're providing some services, that web app hosting kind of tool might be required. Then there can be file, like whatever logs or files you are handling, maybe you are providing some service that requires some files, okay. So that file system management is another very important part, okay. And obviously another one is database, okay. Like just think about one example. Suppose you are running a company which basically take the image of skin color, and then it do some artificial intelligence, advanced computer vision, it apply, and then it basically say your skin pattern is this, and based on that it suggests some particular skin product, okay. So basically the images and the extracted information from the images you need to store for future reference, or to retrain some machine learning model to make it more advanced, so that in future it can work in a more better way. So those kind of things comes into picture, right? Anything, not only in AI domain, in any place, if you go, file system, database, one database, and obviously some web app hosting, something is required. So I just consider these three fundamental stuffs, but obviously there can be multiple more things can be added, okay. Just for example purpose, you consider this. So suppose we are having this setup in our on-premise, and on-premise setup means, I just think about a data center. It is containing huge racks, a complete platform you are maintaining, and there is a huge maintenance cost obviously involved with that. And just think that suppose something happens, it should not, but suppose some earthquake or something happens, tsunami, something, and your data center is now damaged, okay. Your whole company will sit down, okay. It will be in downtime. You have to do certain steps to revert it back and make it up and run again. So this kind of management you have to do in this kind of traditional systems. Not only that, suppose currently your organization is centered around India only, but suppose tomorrow it is growing and you need to set up this kind of infrastructure in USA too. Suppose there are huge amount of customers are coming from USA, then what you will do, same setup, a very big data center, file management system, lot of hard disk, okay, then web app hosting servers, all this you have to set up in USA as well, okay. So you did that. Obviously it will not be in a single day you can do. Suppose you are seeing today the traffic is coming by a very huge amount from USA, then you will think, okay, I need to set up another server in USA too, so that USA customers, instead of reaching to Indian server, they will reach to USA server only. Because when USA customers will try to reach Indian server, it is longer distance. So obviously communication, although we might not get that delay, or we might not feel the delay, but obviously delay will be there. So obviously it is better that the region's customers is accessing the server which is close to them. So because huge amount of
Tadru, just 1 second, 1 second. Sorry to interrupt. I give you one real-time example to all of you regarding the same. If you guys have checked my website, no, initially in the early days when I started making that website, it used to like a lot. Like it takes hardly like 15 to 30 seconds. Those people who have actually tried to explore, they might be aware of it. Take you lot of time to open it. And I tried everything. I changed hosting companies, I mean to say, and I tried to change everything. I thought I have kept lots of data over there. That's the reason it is taking to process. Maybe I have added so many images. Maybe my web designing is not bad, or not good actually. Then I realized, and actually I talked to customer care people, and then I realized the data centers that they have provided to me was not from India. And because my base location is India, most of the crowd, that people who are accessing that website, that are from India. So then I had to change the hosting service from US location to Mumbai location, so that people can easily access. So this is one reason that how you'll choose a location on AWS service, or not just AWS, on any cloud platform, that matters, because it takes lesser time to access that place from there. So that's how actually it is used in the real time.
Exactly. Yeah. So you felt this problem, and that's why you switched your server from other locations to India, so that the communication will be faster. The
Yeah.
the web app will take lesser time to load, right? And this is
Yes,
quite
yes.
obvious. Yeah. So there is a particular pattern you can think of. Suppose you search something in Google, and there are 5 or 10 links coming. You open the first link, it is taking 10 seconds to open. You went to second link, it is taking 2 seconds to open. And suppose your requirement is fulfilled in the second link, then you will not go to the first link, which actually might have contain better information, but because it took more time to load, that's why you switch to second one, and you did that. So obviously here milliseconds also matter. I am talking about that place actually. Like just think, Zomato and Swiggy, both are offering same amount of money from same hotel. And Swiggy, just example, you consider Swiggy is taking, one app is taking more time to load, you switch to, and other app is providing that, you will order from that, and the opponent will lose its market, right? So these milliseconds also matter in this case, obviously with respect to server locations.
So
So
basically, overall idea is this, that every small detail matters. It's not like you just want to just deploy and you do complete your application. Each and every services, or each and every factor that is being provided, that matters. You have to focus on each and everything. Either it's security, it's location, or maybe some other authentication detail. Whatever it is, you have to understand why they have built, because everything has its own purpose whenever they have defined.
yes, exactly, that's true. Yeah. So like this kind of case, when milliseconds also matter, so what you thought that, okay, let me put one data center in USA, so that what will happen eventually, the customers who are from USA, they will be reaching to that, so that Indian server will, the huge load which was coming in Indian server, that will also reduce, so that it can perform in a better way, as well as the load will be equally distributed. It's same like, suppose you are in a queue, and suppose another counter opens, some people from this queue will go to that another queue, so that the queue will come uniformly distributed, kind of thing. So same concept is applicable here also. But suppose eventually with time, the company grows such that the Indian server even not able to handle the Indian customers. Okay, suppose Indian server is running fine with 50,000 customers at a time, but suppose with company growth, now 10 lakh customers are coming per day or something like that, then the Indian server with existing configuration is not able to handle. Then what you have to do? You have to add some more databases, add some more file browsers, so that they can handle the tremendous growth in India itself. So what you did? Okay, you talk to your investors, you did some round of with some dilution, you took some money from investors, and then you added some more file browsers, or file storage services, databases, web app hosting tool in India only to manage that. Okay, so just think how it is going. Once you are facing the problem, then you have to think, okay, I need a solution. Then you start working on that, and there is a large investment you have to do, which is not predictable. Because what might happen in after some days, in from Thailand, suppose huge amount of traffic is coming, then you said, okay, then let me put another data center in Thailand. And after some days, what happens, that Thailand customers are not that much coming. Suppose Thailand market is going a little bit low, and this maintaining data center itself is costing huge. Then you thought, okay, it is not that much profitable, I might need to close this data center. So you will close the data center. So just think the complexity and issues what you might face in your traditional data system. Neither it can scale up with a particular increase in customers, nor it can be managed. We need a large upfront calculation. Okay, it might happen in future, we might get more customer from this region. So all these calculations you have to do, and there is a huge possibility that this kind of forecasting may lead to wrong result, right? And unnecessary your money will be wasted. Instead of that, you can put in a better purpose for better development of your company. So cloud computing comes here and say, don't worry about all this. I will take care of everything. You just focus on your services, your code deployment, and whatever you are providing to the customers. I will take care of the server management and everything. So that's why people started switching. Okay, and how it is happening, obviously, I will explain. So that's this is one of the major disadvantage of a traditional system. That's why you might see in LinkedIn or any job portal that there is a particular profile which is becoming popular nowadays, that is on-prem to cloud migration. Many companies are switching due to lot of disadvantages in on-prem system. They're switching from on-prem to cloud. So that is one thing. So what we understood, if we just summarize the issues with traditional data centers, there can be large upfront investment. Like we have seen that, okay, in USA huge traffic is coming, so we might need to set up one branch in USA, and we have to set up the data center, the hard disk, everything management. Obviously some engineers you have to hire, so large of upfront investment obviously there. Then forecasting demand. Okay, suppose today in Thailand, like I gave the example, suppose suddenly a spike came, and then you thought, okay, from Thailand we are getting good customers, so let's switch, let's put a data center there. But after some days it went down, the business is, if it is not going good in Thailand, you might need to close the data center. So this kind of forecasting is very difficult. So if there is some system which says us, no need to worry about the demand. If the demand goes high, we will take care, we will handle, we will also scale up. And if demand goes low, we will also scale down. If that kind of system is generated, that will be very good. It's like you can consider a coffee house. Okay, in a particular time when maybe just close to that coffee house there is a university, and at a particular time when university tiffin break or something is there, then there is a huge spike in the coffee house. So the owner of the coffee house might think in that way, I will not hire multiple employees. What I will do, I will have some employees who will come and work only for that timing in which huge rush is there. Suppose 5 employees are permanent employees, but they hire 3 employees more only that time when demand is high, and they go away when the demand is low. That means when the tiffin break is over, then they go, because rest employees can handle that much pressure. So that kind of forecasting manually or any system wise, it is difficult. So rather than that, if some system can help us in forecasting that, or if there is some bypass, obviously that will be great. Then obviously it is very slow process to deploy new data center or new server. This is obvious, right? Because deploying a new data center is not at all an easy task. It is complete a building, a complete setup. You have to make that fault tolerant also. It is not like one data center you are placing in one building. Suppose that building catch fire, what will happen? You have to set up another data center which will have the backup, so that at least in disaster recovery process you can take the backup data and put that here, otherwise whole data will be gone. So all these things an on-prem system has to think of. And obviously maintaining the data center, the huge data center, I don't know whether you have seen or not, it is huge racks are there in Bangalore, or many cities are there. You might if you are coming in this domain, you can explore that. So it is really a very difficult process, and debugging that is like nightmare, literally nightmare. So these all are issues with on-prem system. And obviously one of the major thing in on-premise, you are the owner for all the security. Okay, in other countries, if you consider developed countries like USA, the security is a very important factor. Suppose some security leakage happens, then the government will ask a huge money as compensation from that company, and no company want that this security breach will happen or something. Okay, so that also you have to handle completely. It is your responsibility to take care of the security aspect also, and that's where the cloud computing is coming into picture. So till then, what are the disadvantages of on-premise system or traditional system? Any doubts? Have you got some essence? What are the problems in on-premise system? Any doubts on that? Or you are feeling just bored? Sunday 2 p.m. to 3 p.m. after lunchtime. What is going on? Let's just stop and watch. Is it like that? Is it becoming boring, or you are okay?
No, I am
It's
okay.
okay. It's okay.
Okay, okay. You can talk in the middle, okay, so that
No
it
one
will
will
not
say,
be boring.
Satadru. No, no one will say that like I am in half sleep.
uh, okay, then yeah, I am expecting some questions from your end also. Whether you are working professional or whether you are student, you might have certain expectation that what I will learn from cloud computing. So you can pause me in middle and ask. Okay, not at all an issue. Okay, so now coming to cloud computing. So we have seen that there are certain disadvantage in on-prem system. So what is the solution? Whenever you are raising some drawback, no one will appreciate that. They will ask, okay, you identified the problem, now tell me the solution. If you don't have the solution, no one will value it. So that's where cloud computing came and says, hey, I have a solution. See, AWS is there, Azure is there, GCP is there, Google Cloud Platform, and there are a lot other cloud providers also. Okay, but currently I am just explaining with respect to AWS. But today's discussion is such concept I'm going to explain, which is more or less generalized concept. Whatever cloud domain you choose, this concept is going to give you some idea in kickstarting that cloud for sure, because this is generalized concept what I'm explaining. Okay, so what is cloud computing? Cloud computing is on-demand delivery of compute power. Compute power means, suppose you are providing some service, whether you are running some program or anything in the backend, some program is running, right? So suppose huge traffic is coming, then lot of resource might be there, like you might have heard space complexity, time complexity. So cloud computing says, okay, I will scale up if traffic is going huge. If more hard disk required, I will be providing, not at all issue. If more space required for running the program, that also I will be handling, not at all an issue. Database storage, database also can scale up. So have you ever used Duolingo? There is one platform is there for learning different languages. Have anyone used that? Am I audible?
Yes,
Okay,
Satadru. I have used this Duolingo to learn
okay.
German.
Okay, German. Okay, fine. So in my university, there was a compulsory stuff that you have to learn at least one foreign language. I don't know why or how. Then somehow I had to learn French, because I came to know from my seniors that it is little bit easy. So I went through Duolingo app. So basically, that is a startup company, but now it is a very big giant actually in this domain. So initially they started with some specific languages, and eventually now if you go to their platform to learn a new language, you will be seeing a lot of language. So when they are expanding, obviously the language, from one language to translated from to other language, or the learning part, they need a huge database, and obviously the database also need to scale up with how the company is growing. So that's why they are using AWS, and they are specifically using DynamoDB, which is a NoSQL system, NoSQL database. So basically that they are using, and they are making huge profit. And even in YouTube, they published one video how Duolingo is getting profit from using the AWS services. Otherwise, they could not do this much. Otherwise, what would happen with growth of company? They need to take care of one employee or
Great.
one team. Yeah, anyone speaking? Okay, so yeah, that is one thing. Database storage and application and other IT resources through cloud service platform via internet with pay as you go pricing. Very important term, pay as you go. That means you need to pay only if you, how much you are using that. Okay, it is, they will not cost or charge you much. Only that timing when you are using any service, that much only they will be asking. And obviously there are certain like you can check the cost in AWS documentation. Obviously it vary with time, like stock market, it goes up and down. Similarly, same like AWS services as well. So some services charge per second basis, some services charge per how much GB data you are storing, that much based on per GB they are charging. So that kind of stuff it is there. Okay, and there are a lot of services. If you are from data analytics domain, there is service. If you are from augmented reality or virtual reality, advanced computer vision domain, there is service. If you are from database, whether you are from relational database system, SQL, like traditional tabular structured database system, or no SQL system, there is a solution or service for that. For almost everything, AWS has came up with certain services which are grouped and displayed here. Okay, like analytics, under analytics there are multiple services. You might be using AWS Athena, AWS, any RDS also you can use for analytics purpose, or EMR, EC2. There are lot of analytics service you can run. There are available. Then obviously Internet of Things, IoT, as you know, it is very demanding nowadays in market, so that is also there. For robotics, for security, so lot of services are available, and these are individual domain. Actually, in any organization, when you go, there is a database admin team. If you're using AWS, then there is a database admin team. If required something with respect to cloud side, they will be providing you the support or something. Then obviously media services are there. Yeah, like that you can explore all of them. So it is a very big domain. Actually, AWS is applicable, like cloud computing in generalized way is applicable everywhere. I cannot say that if you are from big data domain, then you should go with cloud computing. It's not like that. I can show you that if you're in big data domain, then you can use these AWS services to improve your pipeline. But same AWS service can be used by some full stack developer as well. It can be used by some other profile as well, UI engineer, okay, who make the front end using HTML, CSS, JavaScript. They might be using some hosting service of AWS. So yeah, like that it is going on. So coming to advantages, stop guessing the capacity. It is the most important feature, which is elasticity. Like it will grow, it will just spin up or expand its capacity. If traffic is coming by a large amount, it will spin down if it is less capacity, so that you no need to give money to AWS unnecessarily. That is the one of the most important aspect. Then reliability. Obviously, it is a very reliable system. You can make multiple replicas of your data to make it like if any disaster happens, then you can manage it easily. And obviously, it is quickly accessible also. Suppose you have some website in India and someone is accessing from USA, it should not be taking more time. Okay, then that kind of setup you can do in cloud domain, which will think, okay, this is the customer is accessing from this location, then I will traverse this particular customer to this data center, not the one which is far away. So this kind of stuff is handled by AWS in the backend, obviously. Then reduce time to maintain infrastructure, because AWS says I will maintain the infrastructure. Very small amount you might need to maintain for some certain services, but most of the time AWS take the responsibility of maintenance, which is a very good stuff. We need to focus on only the programming side, no need to think that much about the server and all. Then obviously reduce risk. Our responsibility, AWS responsibility. So it is kind of shared responsibility model. So when you are in on-prem system, it is your and only your responsibility for the security aspect. But when you are coming to AWS takes also certain amount of responsibility. Like most of the responsibilities AWS take, little bit obviously you have to also take. Like you can think bank locker. Bank is taking most of the responsibility, but obviously little bit you should be also taking. Otherwise, if you just sharing some locker information or something to everyone, that is also making little bit vulnerable. So it is kind of shared responsibility now. It is not completely dependent on one particular member. That is one of the advantage, and AWS is really good at taking the responsibility. And if it miss due to some reason, generally it will not happen. Mostly 99% case it will not happen. If in 1% case also it happens, then AWS has its preventive stage. Like suppose someone got the data, they will not understand it. That is encrypted data. Whatever data AWS stored, it's stored in encrypted format. So that kind of backup also AWS take. And obviously provide access to emerging technologies. Suppose nowadays blockchain is becoming suddenly very popular. Then machine learning, artificial intelligence in 2020, since beginning of 2016, it is coming a very demanding track. Machine learning, data science, all these domains. So These emerging technologies, if you need a platform, you no need any manual setup in your local system. When you try to download a simple software, you just think how much burden you need to take. Mostly you follow a YouTube video, Stack Overflow, Gigs for Gigs, or something. It might work if it is a reliable system, but sometimes it don't work. We might do some mistake. Maybe the documentation is correct, but we are doing some mistake in manual work. AWS do all this responsibility. AWS gives you the environment you can run, just you have to pay money, obviously. So these are the advantages of cloud computing. So
I have
any,
few questions. I
yes,
have few questions,
yes,
Sadhru.
yes, yes,
So I understood what you have explained, that okay, these things that AWS is adding. Okay. So if all these things are the advantage of the cloud computing AWS is providing, so two questions I have right now. First of all, it everything is very particular about AWS, or it is very general for cloud computing? And if it's particular for AWS, as you have written that reduced risks are responsibility, AWS responsibility, right? So in that case, what's the use of other cloud services, and why AWS is so prominent in the market nowadays? Almost every company sees this AWS. Even I have seen in many resumes that I have observed, the company prefer those resumes who have mentioned AWS. Even I had written in my one of my project, okay, I have worked on AWS. They are like, okay, you have worked on AWS. Okay, we are shortlisting your CV. Okay, this is what I have seen. So what is that specialty that makes AWS different? And what are the other features of cloud computing services, like Azure is there, GCP is there, and many small cloud computing services are also there. Now, if everything is done by AWS, we will take AWS every time. What's the point of others? That's what I wanted to understand from a
yeah,
beginner's point of view.
yes, yes, sure. So you just think in this way, one particular problem statement you can solve with Java, right? You can solve with any language for the matter of fact. Suppose you know Java, then why you are learning Python? Because sometimes it might happen that Python is easier. Sometimes it might happen that Python has some inbuilt package for that, for which in Java, if you want to do, or some other programming language, you might need to write 1,000 lines of code. So that is one of the major important aspect, that AWS has certain services which the other cloud providers might not have. That is one thing. Second is which is easier to use, which is easier to learn. That I will go. Suppose someone is beginner in programming domain, understanding Python is very easy, but still we say, okay, you learn C, then you go to Python. That is different thing. But generally speaking, Python is much easier, right? So obviously you might be comfortable with Python. Same like that way, AWS usage, how you want to use AWS, what are the steps, what are the documentation level, how is the web interface, how is the libraries AWS has, that some other cloud providers like Azure or GCP might be lagging from some point. I am not telling that it is generalized. Obviously, there can be something which Azure provide in a better way, Microsoft, but not Amazon. Okay, that is also there. But coming to your question, why AWS, not Azure or GCP? First of all, it depends on company also. Some companies reach out to one particular cloud provider, and the cloud provider say, okay, I will give you this much discount, you use our service. That is one aspect. Second aspect is which one has more resource. You just think, suppose you are hiring cloud engineer, suppose 10 resumes are coming as AWS engineer and 2 or 3 resumes are coming as Azure. Obviously there can be some reason that why more people are learning AWS, because it is easier to use, and it is providing same thing. So why not I will move to that? Why not I will use Python? If it is making our life easier, why will stick to Java only? But obviously Java has its own application also. Similarly, Azure and GCP has its own application, not only AWS. And there is one more thing, that is why companies are checking other cloud provider also, not only AWS. There is another reason. Some days back, this is 1 or 2 months back, I think November, December, it happened. AWS went down for a particular time. AWS only one region went down. Okay. And that's why Pluralsight went down, and many other companies also went down. You might have seen the post in LinkedIn that the AWS went down or something. So nowadays companies are saying, I will be taking multi-cloud. My first member will be AWS, first service provider will be AWS. And then if something happens, there is very less chance, very less, like in 5 or 6 years, suppose Google went down some months before it happened, but how many times it went down in 1 or 2 years? Not even 1 or 2 years, 3 4 years, maybe one time it might happen for half an hour or something. So for that kind of system, there are some service which should not be a zero downtime. Suppose you are using your bank account, you are doing a transaction, bank account server should not be having some downtime. So that time they are thinking, okay, I will be keeping another cloud provider as backup. If something happens, immediately our program will switch to that and use that. So that is another reason why companies are not only focusing on AWS, also something, but at the same time, AWS is many companies' first preference. Is it okay to okay? You got your answer or?
Yeah, I got the answer. So I have still few questions related to, because we have kept this session like how to get started with AWS. So I'm assuming you can tell me that how would I choose that I should learn AWS. I understood that AWS is easier, or maybe that's the reason, and that it is providing lots of services. But how would I know that I should learn AWS or which other cloud? What is the job market that I want to understand, Sadhru?
Yes. So, see, what you want to learn, that depends on you. No one is stopping you to learn something. First of all, if you want to learn any language, you can learn. But what the companies are using, more companies are. If you want to go to some financial market, you might see there are a lot of Java requirement. Obviously, there. So you can learn Java if you want to go to that domain. Similarly, here the market, if you see in any job portal or something, AWS also has a very good market. Obviously, other cloud provider also has, but I cannot say, okay, you must be learning AWS or something. I cannot enforce this to anyone. But obviously, there are certain things with respect to market aspect or job aspect. There are a lot of because a lot of companies are using AWS due to is easy access and rich library. That is the most important part. It is having a very rich library support for all the language, whether you are coming from Java, C++, C has, or .NET, any language you choose, or
Mm-hmm.
Node.js, JavaScript. I have listed down the languages as well in my upcoming slide. Whatever language is your favorite, it has a very rich library. Other cloud providers also has library, but it is not that much rich. So that is another reason why many companies are preferring cloud, and that's why you should also learn cloud. Cloud computing is not the only thing which will give you a job. Obviously, you should know something else. Like if you are from big data domain, you should be knowing fundamentals of Hadoop, PySpark, uh, ETL tools and something. And that ETL tool you will be running on cloud. So that's why the cloud computing is coming into picture. Cloud computing is not the only thing which will give you the like complete job, but obviously it will give as a additional section in your resume. Like just think, for example, you built an UI or you built an API, you want to make it accessible. So that time you have to deploy it. Where you deploy, you can deploy in Heroku or some this kind of open source also. But there are options for Azure GCP also. But if you are learner, if you want to deploy it in a scalable way, how industry use, then you might, that time you will see the difference. Okay, AWS is so much easy with just 2 3 steps. You can deploy it very easily. So that is another reason you should go with AWS. And obviously other services also good, but yeah, that depends on actually members. Like if someone say I love Java, you cannot convince him that Python is easier than Java, right? Same like that concept here also applicable, that it
Yes,
depends
yes,
that what is
got it.
basically. Yeah.
Yeah,
So
got it, Sadhru.
yeah, okay, any other questions till now?
Not from my side.
Any members all got a good sleep or what? Anyone want to speak something? Okay, right. So, so just to give you some overview, these are the locations where AWS global infrastructure, if you consider it is a hierarchical model, in a broad level, it is having regions. So these are the different regions which are where AWS have main data centers you can think of. In our country, in Mumbai, it is available. And apart from that, they are thinking to establish in Bangalore and some other place also, which is soon upcoming. So if you think AWS regions are like this, there are different regions worldwide, and under one region there can be multiple availability zone. Under one availability zone, there are multiple data centers which are managed by AWS. We no need to think. Now you might ask me how the disaster recovery, or suppose one data center catch fire or something happens, then how AWS take care of. Basically, in one availability zone, AWS take a copy in other data center also, and these availability zones are also connected with each other for backup purpose. Okay, so that way it is making it fault tolerant, and you can make replica from one region to other region as well very easily. You no need to write a very complicated code to replicate your existing architecture from, or existing data from one region to other region. So each region has multiple availability zones. So region is the top level hierarchy you can think of worldwide, and then it has availability zone. Each availability zone, it has data center, and you AWS obviously recommend to replicate data across different availability zone for reliability, so that if one particular availability zone has some issue, like you can think of currently Ukraine and Russia conflict is going on, right? Suppose you have established one particular your data center in only Ukraine, and due to some reason it get damaged, obviously there should be some other availability zone, so that that particular server can be used to keep your system up and running. So that is one thing. And you can choose your availability zone. So if you go to AWS management console, here you can see, here you will see this availability zone. So, and how to choose the
Sadadru?
yes,
Yeah, Lokesh here. I have a question.
yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, my question is, see, let us say we are using this AWS, and you have seen that AWS uses multiple data centers to keep our data. Let us, my exact query is, let us say I have my payments gateway. Say, let us say one region has failed due to some earthquake or for
Mhm.
some reason. So how the AWS will automatically take the copy of data from another region? What there will any lag between that time?
uh, any lag in the sense, okay, I will,
Lag in this,
yeah,
say my application is a payments gateway. Some user has made some payments.
Mhm.
Due to some reason, one of the data center is down. So AWS will automatically take the copy all the required details from another data center.
Correct.
So if it is taking, how much time the user will face the delay?
Yeah, it will be actually very less. Okay, now this, I cannot say this much seconds it will take, but if you consider the delay, like I faced in my current project, when the AWS went down for one particular region in my project, what happened, it took nearly 10 to 15 seconds downtime, only 10 to 15 seconds, and it is not exactly downtime. What happened, when we tried to enter in the AWS service, it was showing that basically it was buffering. That's it. Okay, and it just buffered for max to max 5 to 6 seconds when it was switching everything to other region. And obviously it depends on your volume of data. Suppose you have handled huge volume of data, then disaster recovery might take some time. But if you are having suppose few TB terabyte of data, then obviously it will be such less, you even cannot feel the downtime. It will, and the AWS itself will take care of that responsibility. Like, it is not you have to manually say AWS, your one region went down, you take care of other region. It is not like that. AWS itself will do that activity for you, and it will be very less. I can say it depends on data, but ideally you can consider 10 to 15 seconds max to max, like that, for a medium volume of data.
Okay, thank you. And I have one more doubt too.
Yes, sure.
See, in the AWS, yeah, in this session, can you explain now or at the end of the session, if someone want to uh, sign up with AWS account and they have to learn the AWS by own. Earlier, it used to ask credit card details, all these
Correct.
things. Now,
Correct.
I think they have removed the credit card details. There is no need to provide our card details, anything else. If you explain, it will be better.
Yeah, so AWS login and sign up, actually, see, when I established my account, I had to give credit card because I did it 1.5 years back. But the current version, I might need to check. Okay, as part of this particular session, I have not thought of that. So But yeah, I can get back to you if you obviously will be explaining this same concept starting from AWS sign up from scratch in our actual macro bootcamp. So, or else what we can do, we can send you after this session, because I
Sure,
need to because I need to just try myself first, because how I did, I have already provided my credit card and information to sign up. Okay,
no,
so
the
that
reason why I'm asking, because when someone as a fresher who want to get in touch with AWS cloud, there is a lot of due to the sign up with credit card, which tier, the free tier access, these things makes confusion actually.
correct. But
So that's
yeah, I got it. So here actually AWS actually launch its updated version with very small span of time. So I really have not went through the new sign up form, or I have not done, but I can get back to you if you are okay to connect after this session. I will go through that after one time trial from my side.
sure, sure. Thank you.
Yeah, sure. We can connect on this here.
One
Yeah,
more reminder, Satadru, we are running out of time, so because
Yes,
I'll suggest that we will be able to take more and more questions from participants, so you
yes,
can
sure. Yes,
connect accordingly.
yeah, sure. So just to give you some update, you can first of all you can ask any questions, and just to give you some updates, we are coming up with complete AWS cloud computing, many services explanation with deployment, end-to-end deployment, which if you, whether you are fresher or whether you are working professional, you can enroll in this particular session, because we will be explaining this particular process end-to-end with natural language processing. If you have some experience with machine learning or this today's AI domain, many companies are using that. Suppose you have launched one particular product in Amazon and there are a lot of reviews coming, and management want to know how the product is going. So individually reviews one particular person cannot basically explore, right? So rather than that, if we can automate one system which will take that comments, which will sentiment the perform natural sentiment analysis on that data, whether that is positive feedback, negative feedback, or neutral feedback, and then it will store in the database, and later using hosted API we can extract that. So if you want, you can go through these detailed sessions about the bootcamp. So here, day one activity, we'll be starting with the problem statement. What are the fundamentals of cloud computing, and the pipeline project architecture, what we are going to cover. Then we are going to cover Lambda, which is one of the most important serverless architecture used for computing purpose. We are going to see CloudWatch, and these are basically some important AWS services we are going to cover. And with this, at the end of this bootcamp also, you will be getting one complete end-to-end project, which using which you can at least start your journey in cloud computing in full fledged, I can say. And that is a real world project, in industry. That particular project we are going to implement with dummy data, but actually in industry it is going to use their industry is using that project. So that is pretty much it. Any questions, Tim?
You can stop sharing, then we can take the questions. I think people have questions. First question that I come across is, it will be actually good if you can take that question, that there are actually people have asked that how can we learn, and from where I should learn AWS services, what are the resources, or how actually I can go ahead with that.
So AWS learning is like fundamentals. If you want to make a clear idea, you can obviously follow documentation. Apart from that, if you consider course, then in YouTube also some free sessions you might be getting. Or if you want some good quality content, you can check. If you want to learn AWS in a small span of time, you can check the bootcamp what we are coming up soon. Or else, what you can do, you can refer Coursera, which obviously provide a very standard form of content, and it is a validated content. Okay, it is not like anyone is uploading something. Then Udemy is one of the major platform where you can learn. And apart from that, if you're working professional, many companies are providing free access to Pluralsight. So Pluralsight also contains a lot of courses related to AWS. Not only that, AWS give its own training also. If you go to AWS website and explore, you will see a lot of courses AWS giving us free session. So that also you can explore. And AWS has its own YouTube channel where it basically explain different employees come from the client company as well as from AWS. Some employees come and they discuss how different AWS services helped that particular company to grow in a massive amount. So these are the things you can refer: Coursera, Pluralsight, YouTube, Udemy. Everywhere you will be getting good courses. Just check the reviews, how the reviews are going before investing your money. Yeah, that's all I can say from course aspect.
One more question I got, Satadru, and that is about this AWS, that we can learn AWS individually, or if I want to be a data scientist or data analyst or data engineer, right? So in that case, how would I actually go ahead with the AWS? What things I need to learn for a particular program? Is this specific, or is this mandatory to keep AWS on my CV if I want to apply for data science job? That's what I want to understand. That was a question I got.
Nowadays almost everyone are making some project which is hosted in local host, okay, local host slash something, and they make some machine learning model for prediction, one page HTML form or Flask API they create. That is okay. That will not make you stand in the crowd, right? So for that, what you have to do to make your resume attractive, or not only attractive point of view, I'm just telling that from penetration point, from other resumes, if you want to make your resume stand out, obviously you should be having cloud computing experience. Because if you know cloud computing, because many companies are using cloud computing, there is more probability that your resume will be highlighted. Because anyway, after entering in the company, you will be using cloud computing, right? So if you have some prior experience, obviously that will enhance your probability of selecting your resume. That is one thing. And not only that, I can say this way also, that like AWS is not generalized from a data engineer or data science point of view. Whatever domain you work, there AWS is there. Even if you're database administrator, there also AWS is there. Because you can be database administrator in on-prem, same thing you can be in cloud, what AWS provides. So this is not specific to one domain. All domain can get help from the cloud computing. Okay. So one question actually I got, I just want to cover here. Can you just explain the elasticity advantage once more? Okay. So what is elasticity if you consider, suppose like I gave
Satadru,
you
one second. Satadru, we can't see you.
in camera wise or this
Yeah,
thing?
camera. I can see.
Okay. Now is it visible?
Yeah.
Okay, so one question I got, can you just explain elasticity advantage once more? So elasticity is nothing but, suppose you just think, suppose you have, like I gave one example, suppose you have one particular, maybe you can consider classroom, okay? So in that classroom, generally its capacity is 50 students, and the classroom is designed in that way that only 50 students can accommodate in that classroom. Now suddenly, due to some reason, suppose 80 students are coming in that particular classroom. So obviously, it is, first of all, 80 students will be sitting in a very bad way. These students which were sitting from the beginning, they will also suffer. So that's where elasticity comes. If, because your suddenly traffic increased, if there is some way that classroom volume also increase. If there is some way, yes, there is way. AWS says, when this general student capacity is 50, I will be keeping its normal volume as expected. Suddenly, if the volume increases or traffic increases, I will increase the volume of the classroom, and so that it can accommodate 80 students. When 80 students will go away, or suppose 30 students go away, then it will automatically decrease its size so that it can serve only that much for what it is required. That way, what will happen if AWS can handle this elasticity? What are the advantage? Neither you need to unnecessarily provide money for 80 students when there is actual requirement of 50, nor you need to think about, okay, I need to expand when there is 80 students. AWS is taking that responsibility. So that is elasticity. It is just a rubber band. When rubber band, if you expand, it basically scale up. If you just shrink, it basically scale down. So that elasticity behavior is one of the most important aspect in any architecture nowadays. So that is nothing but elasticity. I hope you got the answer. If you have further queries, you can ask. Yeah. So making storage more dynamic. Yeah, you can say, yeah, that dynamic elasticity is nothing but dynamic storage as well as compute. Yeah. Does Kaggle consider as cloud? Kaggle consider as cloud. Like Kaggle is nothing but a service provider. I can say it has its
Kaggle,
own.
Satadru, let me answer this question.
Yeah, sure.
Kaggle is nothing but it is a platform as a service, which definitely includes cloud as it's one of the services. But when I say platform as a service, it's more than the cloud. It's like there are lots of functionalities are added, but yes, it is all on the cloud itself. So it's
Yes.
like we are utilizing the cloud services for computation purpose, for storage purpose, and also to provide the services as well.
Yes.
Are you getting the point now? Who asked? Sorry, I did not get this question. So
I missed it.
am I able to answer your question, or you want a detailed explanation over that?
David, I don't know either I am pronouncing.
It's okay. It's okay. It's okay. You can take up the next question if
Yeah,
you
sure.
no one has the doubts.
Is it usable for data analyst? Yes, sure. I am actually, I was working as senior data analyst and now I became associate consultant. So from data analyst, there are a lot of services. You can consider any, that's what I told, right? Big data analysis, if you consider, there is AWS EMR, there is, you can use Redshift as cluster. Okay. And, data analyst sometimes might need to create some kind of visualization also. So AWS QuickSight is there. So obviously data analysis point of view, it is very, AWS provide a lot of services you can explore. Any other question? AWS says, yeah, I'm currently. Can you just explain? Okay, this is, I think I already explained. As AWS has a lot of services, so if someone start learning AWS, do we have to start a particular service oriented view? It's, yeah, like it's actually depending on your domain. Okay, I can say, like starting point, if you consider like any programming, if you start with hello world. Similarly, if you were starting AWS, then you can start with EC2, but I should not say that you must be starting with EC2. EC2 is Elastic Compute Cloud, so that it will give you a compute area. You can run some program which you are running your own laptop. You can run in cloud and you can get some feeling. So you can start with EC2, and more or less EC2 is such service which is used in data analyst or data engineering or cloud architect, any domain if you go, because that is kind of a compute service in a general term. So you can start with EC2, but yeah, that also depends on domain. Suppose you want to do some database administrator work, you can start with RDS also. Okay, but fundamental knowledge of VPC, virtual private cloud, fundamental concept of networking obviously is helpful if you start with that. Yeah. Any other questions?
No, thank you.
Yes, sir. Thank you. Okay, so you can connect with me or Arpita both, almost. I hope everyone are available in LinkedIn, so we can have connect, and we can, if you have any doubt further, you can mail our team, let's see, data conference team. I hope you have already have the mail ID. So yeah, you can, or in website.
Yeah, you can send a mail on support@letthedataconference.com. So we will connect you with Satadru as well.
Yeah.
Apart from that, you guys can connect over the LinkedIn. And one more thing I would like to tell or discuss about